God bless you guys. Welcome to another podcast here at City Church. Glad to have you. Make sure to subscribe, follow us on Instagram, on YouTube, on the different platforms. And if you are in the Frisco area, make sure to join us for our live services. We also have live services every Sunday, 10 a.m. In English in the Frisco area. And then en Español, La Escuela Dominical, or Sunday school, every Sunday at 9:20 a.m. All these times are central. So if you're like West Coast, if you're West Coast, that's 7:20. And if you're East Coast, I guess that's 10:20 as Sam. Well, that was Sam and Zach. They're here with us. Trying to be subtle with the water bottle.
And
but
it didn't turn out too subtle.
Yeah, not too subtle. But where was I? What day is it? No, but make sure to join us in person every Sunday and also on the streams. If you're in the Frisco area, make sure to join us in person at 10400 Frisco Street, Unit 303, Frisco, Texas 75033. We'll be glad to have you. Any questions? Any questions you have? Drop them in the box, in the chats on the YouTube channel. Also on Instagram, however you want to do. But we were talking a couple of days ago about content and complacency. Zach is here, and Zach is always asking our deep philosophical questions. But I think we were talking about content and complacency. There's a verse. Was it Hebrews that we were talking about? And I forgot.
Yeah. So the question came up. I forgot what we were talking about. I think we were talking about wisdom and knowledge, and how the Bible, sometimes it tells you correct the fool, sometimes it tells you don't correct the fool. And the Bible says there's a time for everything. And so the question came from my heart in a sense, I always hear at 25 years old, 25-year-old man, I guess. One has
a 25-year-old boy.
One has a desire to conquer the world, quote unquote. You know, do as much as you want.
The world is my oyster.
Yeah, the world is my oyster. You know, and push and build a foundation for my family and the future generations and whatnot. However, the Bible also says be content with what you have. But then the Bible also says in Proverbs 6. Proverbs 6:6, and I'm reading ESV. It says, "Go to the ant, O sluggard, consider her ways and be wise. Without having any chief officer or ruler, she prepares her bread in summer and gathers her food in harvest. How long will you lie there, O sluggard, when you will arise from your sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to rest, and poverty will come upon you like a robber and want like an armed man." So the question is where's the balance? How do we balance that in our lives as young adults and we're trying to build a foundation? Where's the balance of content and where's the balance of complacency? What's the difference, and what are in practical terms, how to improve that area in our lives?
I think that's interesting because it's also not only a young people thing, it's an every person thing. Because we think I'm 50, I'm 60, I made it, I'm good, I'm set it, forget it, kind of thing. Fair. But it's interesting. It says, what does it say? A little sleep, a little what?
Yeah, and I find it very brutal. It's I can't sleep. No. It says, so this is 6:10. Proverbs 6:10. It says, "A little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to rest, and poverty will come upon you like a robber and want like an armed man."
Well, so the way we understand that is not the context of
physical.
But it's also not that. It's also so this is a habit. This is a traditional characteristic of sluggers. I think that's a brutal way, more brutal than to say lazy. I feel like slugger sounds very
or sloth.
Well, I mean exactly, but. But a lot of people, when you're I'm just gonna take a little bit longer to sleep. I'll wake up in a little bit. I'm just gonna relax just for a little bit before you realize it. All those little sleeps, all the little slumbers, all the little crossing of the hands. You're the whole day has gone by. What the heck? What happened here? So I think it's not necessarily saying that you shouldn't sleep. I think you shouldn't rest because that's necessary too. I mean, even the Lord rested, right? I mean, in the creation story, but it's. we get a little too accustomed by like, oh, I'm gonna take a little nap. I'm gonna get back up. Speaking of naps, and Zach is yawning, and literally, I just saw the camera. A little sleep, a little slumber, a little crossing, a little folding on the hands.
Just a little slugger.
Yeah, but it adds up. All the little sleeps, all the little slumbers, all the little crossing on the hands.
I think it also has to do
up.
with like the character of the person. I think this might also be a little harsher for the people who are already lazy. Like, it's like if you're already having lazy characteristics and maybe aren't necessarily doing something, and you're 30 still sleeping on, I don't know, with your parents' couch or something, I don't know, like that's a call out, you know. It's like, how are you don't have time to be lazy. You shouldn't be lazy at this moment. You don't even have a little bit of space to slightly go to sleep, to slightly rest, to slightly do this, because it's like, what are you doing? You know? Yeah,
it's interesting because the older you get, like the faster the times go by. This is after church on Sunday, October 26th. We were just having like lunch earlier, but I think we were just like looking at like dates and stuff. And I was like, man, 2016 was 9 years ago, and I was like, that feels like it was yesterday.
I don't know about
says the guy who was like 10 years old, like, yeah, I felt like yesterday, yeah. But no, but time does go by, and
it does.
And like you were saying about the 30-year-old sleeping on the couch from mom and dad, like really your youth should be taken for the time to develop yourself, to grow spiritually, not waiting to like you're 30 or 35 or 40 to like get your life together. I'll do it when I'm 30 and I'm ready to settle down. But like at that time, so there's two things in the Bible. It talks about like the younger people, the strength of the young is their energy, and the youth is their energy, and the strength of the older people, the people with gray hairs, right? Some of us a little bit more coming in now, is your wisdom.
No,
and
so, a lot of it.
Yeah, no,
I'm just kidding.
We can zoom in a little bit, probably not, but
just kidding.
But really, like if you're already like graying and you have no experience with like life in terms of gaining wisdom and knowledge,
what usefulness do you
then you're doing 25-year-old things or 20-year-old things when you should be doing 30 or 40-year-old, 50-year-old things, which is, imparting wisdom and knowledge. And so,
what's the new saying like amongst like Gen Z and millennials now? Is like 30s are the new 20s.
Yeah, 30s are the new 20s, and then 40s are the new 30s. But then it's funny because so you ask someone like who's younger than me, and they're like, "Oh my God, Eric, you're so old." And then you talk to like someone who's a little old, it's not even a lot older, just a little bit older than me. Like, don't worry, you're so young. I'm like, well, then what am I? Old or young? Right? It's kind of like this concept that happens in families when people are like, "You're so thin, you should put some meat on those bones." Yeah. Then you put some meat on those bones. Oh my God, you should get it fit. That's like you're a little chunky. Yeah. Well, sometimes it feels that way with age, but going back to what we're talking about, like there is a season for everything under the heavens, and complacency though there's never a time under the heavens to be complacent. But there's always a time under the heavens to be content.
And I think it talks about more the terminology we're using, complacency, contentment. I think it has to do more with the attitude that you take with each one. And what I wanted to say prior to the podcast starting was that complacency sounds like complaining. There's a very similar root there. And I think last time I had also read this, but read it again. But the difference between contentment and complacency. Contentment is a sense of peace and gratitude for what you have while still recognizing there's room to grow and improvement. Complacency is a false sense of satisfaction, of comfort that leads to being stagnant or careless. So it's like the difference in attitude of like, okay, I'm here now. What am I planning for the next 10 years, 15 years down the line? That's contentment. I'm here now. I'm happy with where I'm at. I know that this is a season, and I'm going to wait till the next season comes, but I'm here now. I'm waiting. I'm in peace with what I'm at. And then there's complacency where it's like, oh, I'm good here. I've made it. I'm done here, and I'm like 25 working at the lowest entry level job possible. It's like that's not where your head should be wrapped around at the moment. It should be
for sure.
What's the next 10 years down the line? And it also brings me to ask, like, well, pride and ego can be a part of your attitudes for complacency, but it can also be, well, who's in your life that hasn't necessarily motivated you enough? Like, is that really the cap that you bring to your family? Like, maybe something clearly must have gone wrong there.
Yeah, I mean, and the Lord, it's interesting because the Lord also doesn't like complacency. In the book of 2 Kings, in the book of Second Kings, Isaiah makes an appearance. People think that Isaiah only appears in Isaiah, but Isaiah does make an appearance in also the book of Second Kings. And there's something that the Lord says that the Lord uses Isaiah to prophesy over a king. The guy's name is always crazy to say, but it's Sennacherib.
That was
King
the name?
Sennacherib, yeah, Sennacherib.
Say that again?
Sennacherib.
Sennacherib. I've
Sennacherib.
never.
Like, who is Sennacherib? So
Yeah.
he was like a Babylonian king. Like he rose up against the Judah and like the people essentially. And so the Lord, like one of the things that he condemns Sennacherib, right, is in 2 Kings 19:28. He says, "Because you have raged against me, and your complacency has come into my ears, I will put my hook in your nose and my bit in your mouth, and I will turn you back on the way by which you came." Like, I'm gonna send you back. Like, so, like, the Lord's like mad through a prophecy that Isaiah gives Sennacherib, right? Like, I'm just hearing about your complacency, but that coupled with his rage against the Lord, like it was like I'm done with this guy. Like, send them back, and I'm gonna and so 2 Kings 19 is prophet Isaiah, prophesying over the fall of Sennacherib, right? And like you're done for, like you're done. And one of those grudges that the Lord has against, not grudges, that sounds so bad, but one of the things that the Lord has against Sennacherib is complacency. Like, you're complacent. So the Lord has always, because complacency usually equals sluggards, equals laziness, equals not advancing, equals it has negative effects for your families, right? Complacency, it just like makes you settle in and not look for advancement, which is like the same thing that happened to Israel. Israel got complacent when they got the results back from the 12 spies. They got like, how would I say, like they got disillusioned. Their like hope dwindled because the 12 spies, well, 10 of the 12, right, except Caleb and Joshua, came back and gave a negative report that, oh, these giants are so massive, they're going to destroy us. And so what Israel should have done is they should have put arms to work and gone and destroyed them. But they got complacent, and they were like, we can't do that. Like, they got too lazy. Because if they would have thought about it and I would have been complacent, they would have put their arms to battle. They would have gone to battle with these giants, and the Lord would have given them the victory. It's this whole thing, like bros and sisters.
I think, like, even Moses, like, was the solution too. Like, he.
It was a disillusion. I think it was more like.
But like, he fell to the ground and
he fell to the ground and wept, and because they wanted to be. This is because all of the congregation rose up against Moses, and they were like, "Why did you do this to us too?" Like, like frustration, and they like went against Moses too. They fell to the floor and started praying. To stone him, and that's when Joshua and Caleb like stood up and was like, "Let's defend Moses, right, and Aaron, and like and stand up to the rest of the congregation." Which I always say it's a sign of what's it called? A sign a sign of braveness braveness by Joshua and Caleb, having to like fight back millions of people against Moses and Aaron, right? So like. But again, Israel got complacent. The Lord has gotten does not like complacency. He's seen complacency in Israel. He saw complacency in Israel when they not conquer the Canaanites, the gods of Canaan. And so the Lord's always been a God of advancement.
Glory to glory.
And he got exactly glory to glory. And he got mad at Israel when they stopped. When they were like being persecuted by the Egyptians, and then Moses was like, "Let's stop and ask God." And God's like, "What are you doing?
I would have told you,
move. Like, move. Why are you stopping? Like, who told you to stop?" Because God's always a God of advancement. So, complacency is a moment. Complacency leads to pauses. Complacency leads to us not advancing. Complacency leads us to settling for the lower blessings as opposed to the higher blessings. Complacency leads us to settle for the monetary, physical, temporary blessings of the earth and not advance to the more permanent blessings that come from the Lord. And if you joined us in our service today, October 26th, go back and take a look at that. The Lord is focusing on us receiving blessings that are everlasting, the evermore blessings, eternal blessings. And so the Lord doesn't like complacency because it stops the advance of people.
Yeah.
It stops us from going glory to glory. And it's also kind of like a sense of pride. Like, I'm good. I've decided that I've achieved success.
Yeah.
There's another podcast that we have on that about success.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like, I've made it. I'm done. I'm good here. When the Lord's like, bro, you only reached 10%.
And I was gonna say, like, the enemy takes part in also trying to convince us of that, especially by, you know, sometimes we'll see our friends be at a slightly higher level than we're at now, and usually that'll be like, oh, that's like my motivation to also be up there in that level. But then once you get there, it's like, that's not what's it for you, you know.
Yeah.
And I guess part of what I'm also speaking at is like career wise, you know, because that's what we kind of, other than church, what else are we going to do here on earth, right? It's like, we're going to work, we're going to make sure we build the next generation up. And I think part of, like, at least Zach and we're, I think, very determined and trying to better the next generation than what we had, you know, coming as like first gen. That's naturally kind of innately what we chose to do, since early on. We wanted better. We wanted to complete our education, and gratefully so we did. But that's our situation. Not every situation has that motivation that comes from like their generation to do that. But that's part of what the enemy tries to do. He tries to convince you that. Yeah. Imagine if like we would have stayed where we were at back in like after we graduated from college. It's like, yeah, I would have been working in a very horrible, you know, job at the time.
Did you work for us at that time?
No, not you. No, at a very horrible law firm that I was working at.
My heart hurts.
No, but imagine if I were complacent with like just the money and saying, oh, but I did it. I graduated and this is my first job out of college. I would have been complacent and said, that's it. I made it. Yeah. But that's not it.
And like, for example, one of my fears is not understanding or not having that element in my life, the difference between complacency and content.
Yeah.
Like sometimes I can imagine, I try not to do this at all, but it's like I'm being content. Like, oh, I'm just going to enjoy what I have now. But if I'm not planning, as you said, like if I'm not planning for the future and striving for more, then in a way, like I'm hiding complacency labeled as content in a way. If I'm not like, okay, like I'm happy with what I have, but God brought me this far not to leave me here and not to keep me here. Like, it's like, let's push forward. Let's see what's next. Let's see what's next in the season.
Well, and that's why the verse of Philippians 4:11-13 is pretty key. It says, not that I am speaking of being in need, for I have learned in whatever situation, and this is again Philippians 4:11-13, in whatever situation I am, to be content. I know how to be brought low. In other words, I know how to be at the bottom, and I know how to be abound. I know how to be like reach, you know, wealth and riches. And in any and every circumstance, I have learned the secret of facing plenty and hunger, abundance and need. And then he says, I can do all things through him who strengthens me. And so what that means, those verses coupled together talk about contentment, is that like contentment means that you're happy where you are, but knowing that through him there's more to be achieved. Yeah. And so when you don't put God, because God has to be in the middle of it all.
Everything, yeah.
It's not like, oh, God has to be in the middle of it all. No, like God must be in the center of our lives. Then you're happy at all times, because knowing that in this season, for this season, he has me here, but because I can do all things through him, he's going to advance me to the next season. Yeah. Fatherhood, motherhood, marriage, I don't know how to call it, grandparenthood, I guess. Yeah. You know, even in death, right? To like the ends of our lives. And so like there is a season for everything, and in every stage and every season, we must be happy, we must be at peace, knowing he's taking care of us in that moment, but that he's going to advance us to the next phase, and that is, I can do all things through him who strengthens me.
That verse is mind-blowing. So I played basketball in high school, so I was surrounded by a lot of basketball people, and everyone had that verse on their Instagram bio.
No, Philippians 4:13, I can do all things through Christ.
They would have it on their shoes, and then...
I used to have it on my collar stays for my dressers, but okay.
The reason why I
still do, actually.
The reason why I say it is because it's frustrating, because these are the same people like they have it on, they take the time to write it out, but then they're over there sleeping around, you know? So it's like, you know, but the verse that you said, or that entire passage was mind-blowing, because I feel, correct me if I'm wrong,
you're wrong.
He's saying like, I can do all things. What was it again?
I can do all things through him who strengthens me.
And in a way, it sounds like I can endure everything. I can
Yeah,
be
of course.
content through anything.
Correct, and it's being at peace.
Yeah.
When you know you can do all things through him, you're at peace, knowing that it's not my strength, it's not my knowledge, it's not my wisdom, it's not my education, it's not my bank account, it's not my car. It's not me. It's all him. So in this moments, I'm going to be okay. In the moments of lows, I'm going to be okay, Jehovah Jireh. In the moments of many, I will be okay because I will give him the glory and the honor. In the moments of hunger, I will be okay because maybe some of us need to serve a little more, I will be okay. In the moments of abundance and food and full tables, I'll be okay too, right? Yeah. And so there's, when you have him at the center, you're at peace with every stage of your life.
And like when I hear that verse from the basketball people, it's more of like them centered, like, oh, I could do the impossible. I'm gonna achieve wealth. I'm gonna achieve this. I'm gonna achieve this. But with the context of what that verse is coming from, it's like, no, it's literally what you said. I'm gonna be content. I'm gonna be happy. Be in peace. I can do anything, and I'll be at peace. And that means like I'll be in the highs, I'll be in the lows, and God is good no matter what.
And I wanted to read Philippians 2:14. It says, "Do all things without grumbling or disputing." My bad. That you may be
disrupting. Let's not disrupt either.
Disputing, that you may be blameless and innocent, children of God without blemish, in the midst of a crooked and twisted generation, among whom you shine as lights in the world, holding fast to the word of life, so that in the day of Christ I may be proud that I do not run in vain or labor in vain. Even if I am to be poured out as a drink offering upon the sacrificial offering of your faith, I am glad and rejoice that you all likewise, that rejoice with you all. Likewise, you all also should be glad and rejoice with me. And I think that one very important part that talks about, that's Philippians 2:14. It talks about how we're supposed to be the lights of the world in this crooked, twisted generation. And if other people are being complacent, if our friends are being complacent and they're utilizing these verses way out of context, and they're not utilizing them correctly and they're being complacent with that, or they're egocentric and prideful about these things, how are we going to be the difference in this generation? And I think it's like, imagine if some random person comes and sees you and you're in the middle of the storm. Have you guys seen that big picture of like the whole storm happening and there's like a little dove in the middle just being okay? That's how we are, there's always going to be a storm around us. There's always going to be something going on, a reason to cry, a reason to be saddened. But because we're content in that area, knowing that the Lord is with us, that verse that says, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me, Philippians 4:13, isn't just about what, he can do to strengthen us, but it also is like a quote unquote hidden message that he's always with us. It's always being there with us, like in the midst of the storm. And that gives us the encouragement to be the light of the world in this generation.
Yeah. And it's interesting because when you read, the verse you were reading, I don't know if you guys understood what Paul was saying there, but even if I'm going to be poured out as a sacrifice, he's essentially saying even if I'm going to be killed for this, even if I die, even then he's going to be glad. So literally, Paul is putting into action that I'm content, even in death. I'll be content, right? And it's powerful when you hear like people's stories about how like they're happy on their deathbed because I'm content. Like this is the Lord's will. So I will go. And so that's pretty powerful stuff for you to say that on your deathbed. Not all people can say that. Also, is a reflection of how you live your life and the things you've achieved. But when you put Christ at the center of your life every step of the way, when that time does come, you're like, okay, it's okay because I'm going into the Father's house. Like I'm going into the arms of Jesus, right? And so, we have to be content. We have to be peace. We have to be in joy. We have to be okay with the situations that we're in the sense of like not worry and know that we still have to keep working, right? Every day dying to the old us so that he grows more in us, being shaped in the potter's hands, refined, purified, going through the fires if need be, knowing that in the end, he, like the Bible says, he does work all things in the favor of those that love him and are called according to his purpose. And so when you have all of those things at the center and you have the heavenly at the center of it all, like every day is just a day of joy. It should be for
You're gonna
us.
walk through fire and you're gonna be okay. Like,
Yeah,
everything's gonna
exactly.
be okay.
You'll be okay.
Yeah.
You go through the fire. You go through the
lion's
refinements.
den.
Yeah, and you know that you're being perfected
Right.
every single day. And
Amen.
And I think that's important because like a lot of people and we've talked about this a lot. Like you go through something and you don't realize why you're going through it. It's like, dude, you're being perfected. Like, dude, your God is testing you. God is building you up. Like, it's okay. You're gonna be okay. This season won't last forever. You know.
yeah, I mean, and that's what, and it harkens back to Ecclesiastes 3. There's a time for everything under the heavens, and I love how the Bible says there's a time to destroy and a time to build. Not it doesn't say there's a time to build and a time to destroy.
Yeah.
There's a time to destroy and a time to build, and usually the way the Lord works is He destroys so He can build upon the things that are not for Him, that are not from Him.
The potter's hands.
Yeah, exactly. There are things that need to be removed, molded, shaped, pushed, pulled, and elongated and shortened, and that's the Lord, a time to destroy. And so, if you understand that the Lord in the end works all things for the better of you, if you love Him and are called according to His purpose, you'll be okay with the moments and the times of destruction, because after the times of destruction comes the time of building. And what the Lord builds is way more beautiful and way beyond our imagination that we could have ever built.
Yeah.
I remember you telling me one time, like,
I see a lot of things.
I think we were talking about business and like finances and whatnot. You said like, just because you have money doesn't mean it's sustainable, and just because you have money doesn't mean it comes from God. If it comes from God, it's sustainable. You know, so it's one of those situations where like if it's meant to last for forever, because money doesn't last forever, you know. But if the vehicle that God blesses you with wealth and finances and whatnot, if it's sustainable, you can kind of be like, okay, this comes from God, versus something that like just harks at you, like it takes you away from God, and it's like it's just a hassle. It takes away your peace. Then it's not sustainable, and you know, like I need to change something here, and that within can be a task within itself.
Yeah, and it really is a test. I mean, businesses will fail, things will fail, and that's okay, because in the end, God's always going to pick you back up 70 times 7 with the just man fall.
So funny enough, like just to put my personal, we're married. our personal stuff out there. Like I think the biggest thing that taught me to, or is currently teaching me to have an iron stomach, is the stock market.
Oh, brother.
Because you can lose half your portfolio, and like society, like for example, Reddit just loses your mind, and the long-term investors are like, if you can't handle the downturns, don't invest.
Why are you in here?
Don't invest.
Exactly.
You know, so in the same thing, like, and we see
You've
it in
gone through
gyms.
many downturns.
We've gone through many downturns, but the longer you're there, the more you realize it's gonna be okay. Like the downturn isn't gonna last forever, you know. And we've had situations where like 60% of our portfolio is gone, and 2 months later we're up 120%. You know, so glory to God 100%. But even like in little things like that, like God speaks, and God will teach you one way or another. You ask Him, give me wisdom, God, like the way the Bible tells you to cry out for it. Give me faith. Oh, He's gonna put you through it, and He's gonna put you through it in the things that hurt. And that's gonna specifically hurt you. You know.
Well, yeah. I mean, of course, that's where He's not going to try you in something that you don't have an issue with. That's not a trial, is it? I mean, He has to try you to the things that you hold dear to your heart. But that's content, like, you know, but even in those moments, as Paul was saying in the Philippians, even in those moments, I'm going to be okay. I'm glad. I'm going to be content. In the lows and the highs, in starving or in abundance, I'll be okay. We're going to be okay. And even if I'm back to Philippians 2, and even if I have to be poured out as a sacrifice upon your faith, like even if I have to die for this, it's okay. I'm going to be glad in it. I'm going to be glad in it. And so it's just a necessity for us to be happy and have peace, always looking to advance, right? Never looking to be complacent in the sense of stopping. The Lord is, again, the Lord is not a God of stoppings, of pause, like stop, like don't advance, or God forbid, going backwards. God's not that type of God. He's a God of always advancing and taking us from glory to glory and from generation to generation. And so that's content, complacency and content. Let us be a people that are not complacent, but more of a people that are content, happy, and at peace, knowing that there's a time for everything under the heavens. When we understand that, and that we can do all things through Him who strengthens us, that we'll be okay, and that He'll take us to new glories. God bless you guys. We'll see you guys on the next one. Make sure to join us, follow us, subscribe on YouTube, follow us on Instagram. Tune in on Sundays at 10 a.m. for our English services, 9:20 a.m. for our Spanish Sunday schools. Visit us in person if you're in the Frisco area. We'll be glad to have you guys. God bless you guys. We'll see you guys on the next one.